You do anything to protect your family, but have you prepared them to protect themselves? Today's conversation is part 2 of introducing your family to firearms safely, ethically, and with a mindset grounded in responsibility and survival. I am back with Ridwaan, SA Tactical, down in Durban in KZN, and he is also the main instructor for the loan operator course down in Durban. Ridwaan, as always, welcome back. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you, Rian. Good to be back.
All right, so let's jump straight in where we stopped the last time. The first question I want to ask you is this. How do you bring, you've got a hesitant spouse or other family members. How do you bring them into this conversation? How do you get consent? How do you build shared responsibility? And also, how do you build shared trust around firearms? Because at the end of the day, you want them to trust you that you are doing the best for them. They need to buy into this. How do you go about that? This is also a question, by the way, that we got on YouTube from one of our followers on YouTube. So this is something that a lot of people struggle with. This is not the first time I've heard this. I've received this question.
Okay. Let me first start with what you do not do, what you wouldn't do, and that is, you wouldn't expect them to jump into the deep end. Don't take them to the shooting range, for example. Don't take them into a gun shop where it's going to be overwhelming. You got all these guns up on the wall, encounters, people talking about gun jargon, and people point, because in the gun shop, let's be honest, people break the safety rules because the guns are unloaded. Yes, they do. They point the firearms in unsafe directions. Newbies put their fingers on the trigger. I've seen some crazy stuff. People even looking into muzzles and stuff.
Yes.
And so don't start there. Don't start there, because I think that's the worst place to start. Funny, it's ironic, but that's the worst place to start. I would say introduce them to a circle of like-minded individuals where you've got responsible firearm owners, maybe having coffee, maybe at a coffee shop or at a restaurant, or maybe at a bar where the topic comes up, and even if you initiate the topic, sometimes, and friends of mine have done this before, they kind of prep you. They're like, listen, my wife's coming over to the bar, and I'm thinking about the gun thing, but I don't know how to discuss this with her. So I'm probably going to bring it up. Just play along, you know. And I mean, you're not being deceitful, but you're being truthful. You gotta try and ease this person into it. I also think having some type of a background is also important. Knowing, does this person have a fear for firearms? Did they ever witness somebody being a victim of a series of violent attack? Is there some trauma there? And then you may have to tread lightly. I may have shared a story about a friend of mine with you. I'm not sure if I've shared it with you on screen or off screen. A friend of mine's wife who had witnessed a family member commit suicide with a firearm. Do you remember that story?
Yes, you mentioned that.
And what happened was the husband was involved in the close protection industry. So obviously, as a bodyguard, you would be carrying weapons during work, but he never owned a firearm. And she was petrified. The wife was petrified of firearms, and obviously, because of that fear, often these fears rub off onto our kids. They will find where a parent has a particular fear because they only speak negatively about a certain. Some people are afraid of dogs. Some people are afraid of cats, snakes, guns, whatever the case may be. Then often the children grow up and inherit that fear. So the kids also were afraid of guns, but obviously the interest was there, especially from the boy. And he said to me, listen, Rids, I don't know what to do here because I'm working with guns and I actually want to buy a gun. But the wife was afraid of guns, and this is what happened. And he shared with me. So I said, okay, let's do this. Let's use classical conditioning. invite her to the shooting range when it's just us. So we've got like a private shooting range and we booked for ourselves. And I said to him, pack a picnic basket, carry a blanket, carry all the favorite snacks and stuff that the kids and the family enjoy, and let them just sit in the distance and watch us shooting a little bit, and we won't do anything hectic. So what was happening was, and I spoke about the conditioning on the previous podcast, like when the kids go and watch the movie or play the video game. And so what was happening was they were building an association. So they were eating, drinking their stuff, just talking as a family, and watching us shoot. And they realized that hey, it's not that bad after all. It's safe. No one's getting hurt. In actual fact, it's even safer than many contact sports because there's no human contact that's taking place. You know, bullets are going off in a safe direction. The procedures are safe and all of that. So we did that like twice, and then after a while, eventually we got her to start handling fire. And it's they've made a complete turnaround in their home. That now the kids can handle firearms. He can take the kids to the shooting range. She doesn't own a firearm, but that's okay. We've made quite a success of a scenario that could have went in the opposite direction.
Yes.
And now she doesn't freeze around firearms. She used to just burst out in tears around firearms before, and even if it was like a loud sound, it would trigger her. So something like that, and I think it takes somebody that has some type of a psychological or psychology background. Somebody who knows how to deal with these things. Lucky for me, I studied psychology, criminology, criminal law at university level. So I've been able to couple that with my experience and training as an instructor, as a trainer, and not just teach you hard skills and soft skills, but also help people depending on the way they think and the fears that they have and the trauma that's there. To a certain degree, I can help with that. And then what we did was we came up with a program or a workshop called My Mom Was My Bodyguard. And it's been extremely successful. And there are other workshops of a similar manner that are run by other organizations nationwide as well. And it's all about creating a comfortable, safe environment where people, and I mean, this workshop of ours is focused on the female, and where people can be free to make decisions, and at the end of the lectures and the interactions and the self-defense, we have a live fire session. So they can make a decision, do I want to learn how to use a gun or not? If I don't want to learn how to use a real gun, then no problem. There are simulation guns there. So we have some guns there. We've got like T4E pistols and airsoft pistols, so they can shoot that if they want. Doesn't make a loud bang. Most of them actually want to use the real gun. Most of them, 9 out of 10 want to use the real gun. Even those that had a fear, because I would call it peer pressure, but they've kind of been prepped now. They see, hey, I'm in the environment, it's safe, everybody's doing it. Look at the ladies before me, they're having fun. So I think creating that environment, firstly, is important, and going to the right people. A professional introduction to firearms in the right setting by the right people makes the world of a difference. The world of
Well, what definitely doesn't work, and what definitely will give you the wrong results, if let's just talk about your partner now. Whether it's a lady, whether it's a guy, it's irrelevant. This person is hesitant, doesn't like guns, doesn't know guns, has a fear of it, whatever the case might be. But you are in this mindset where you've got a firearm, you carry, you train, whatever the case might be. What does not work is trying to pressure them into falling in with this lifestyle, with the firearm shooting. That's only going to get you negative results. That certainly doesn't work. As you say, because you don't know, and you need to be certain of it. If it's your partner, if there are certain psychological or emotional elements that come into play, like trauma, this case you just described, you need to be aware of these things. So you need to have open conversations. And I've always just said to people who ask this question is you need to baby step them into it. If they are absolutely hesitant or maybe they are vehemently against it, you need to baby step them. And what does make a very good difference is in the loan operator course, one of the early modules is the Stop the Bleed module.
Yeah.
And usually we say to people on that day, because there's no shooting on that day for that, for that specific group who's doing that module, we say to them, bring your partners, bring your wife, bring your husband, because this is learning to control a bleed. This is something that you can apply. Maybe your kid falls and cuts himself on a piece of glass, whatever the case might be. But even though there's no shooting, they are amongst like-minded people, and then they can talk to some of the other spouses. And you know how it works. I think it's called the law of the second person. So if you are, for argument's sake, the husband, and your wife is hesitant, and you say, we need to do this, odds are she's gonna go, yeah, I don't know, like teenagers, it works this way. But if somebody else says to her, you have to come with, it's such a fun day, take a couple of shots just for the hell of it, you'll see you're gonna love it, etc. Then inevitably they go, yeah, okay, maybe I should try it, so you need to go about this the correct way, otherwise it's not going to work. And the more the hesitancy, the more the I'm not doing it type of thing, the more you need to baby step the whole thing. And sometimes
the same can be said for other weapons as well, right? Like introduction to knives, introduction to self-defense, all of that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And sometimes it doesn't work, and you just have to live with that, because not everybody wants to own a firearm or wants to be near firearms. There's for people who like firearms, who are into it, who are used to firearms, it's difficult to understand sometimes, but we have to be aware of the fact that it is not for everybody. Nothing in life is for everybody. And if that's your partner, if your partner is really so against it, then just do your thing. Then you do your thing and do your role, carry training, be safe, and you show them through the way you act that you are a responsible firearm owner, so they can relax about the whole thing. And maybe in time, your partner will surprise you.
Yeah. True. And like at the program, at the workshop, often women are accompanied by their husbands and by their fathers and stuff. And the men get surprised. The men get surprised to see how well these girls and women have done at handling the firearm and at shooting. And we give them the target at the end of it. And they go to their dad or to their significant other, and then the guy is like, she actually shot better than I do. And this guy is sometimes a firearm owner.
Yeah. No, that's the thing, because generally women don't have that ego thing. So, that for them, it's not a case of standing on the range and, now I have to perform. Like for us guys, we are wired differently. It's almost, it's a competition now. So I need to outperform the rest of them type of thing. And women don't generally have that. So they very often pick these things up faster than guys do.
Yeah.
All right. What if we're talking camping, outdoor activities, and you want to carry, or more than one, if you've gotten to the stage where maybe your partner also carries, what special rules and techniques apply when your family plans to carry or have firearms in that sort of situations?
So I think it's important for us to train for realistic scenarios. One of them being something like that, where you are maybe in a rural environment, or you are in a camping, that kind of a setting, in a camp. So, and I would say make it practical and base your choices and your practices on not just on practicality, but on empirical evidence. Maybe there are certain occurrences that have taken place in this kind of environment previously happened to somebody else. Learn from those people's experiences, learn from other people's mistakes, learn from people's successes as well. You don't want to just pass on old wives' tales and campfire stories, um, because that's what my grandfather always did, or that's what my uncle said he did in the army. It may not be relevant for you, you know.
Mm.
And I think before somebody gets there, and we just spoke about men being very proud, very often men being proud. I think even before it even gets there, it's important for these firearm owners, or even if you're not a firearm owner, to seek professional training and become comfortable with concepts and learn concepts and almost master these concepts before you advise others on these topics, because there are too many armchair critics and what I call them computer commandos that they sit
Mm.
on the
That's a
computer
good
or the
word.
cell phone, but but they've got all the answers, and however they've possibly never been in that situation, but they want to advise you, and it's not as simple as just like watching something in a movie and then copying what they do in the movie, because it may not be relevant. I mean, most movies that you watch are made for an American audience as well. So you want to start using terminology and practices that they do, that they use there. It may not work for us as South Africans. So go and seek some good training, uh, and then practice these methods. Practice it in your circle of like-minded people first. Maybe together with the guys. Get together with the members in your shooting club. Get together with friends in the gym. And practice certain things and see if it works for you before you go and compel your family members to adopt these skills and methodologies and procedures. And then once you've done that, identify certain practices, certain pieces of equipment, certain skills that would work in adverse conditions as well. So, for example, in low lights, um, are you going to use a handheld light? Are you going to use a weapon light and only invest in a weapon light? Okay. So now when you need a torch, are you going to take your pistol out and use your weapon light to see in the dark? Is that is that safe? Is that practical? So I may want to have a handheld light as well. Okay.
Mm.
What happens in a situation where I need both hands, where I need to start a fire, or I need to unpack something, or I need to fix something? I can't keep my hand on my handheld flashlight, so I may need a hands-free light source. So I may need a headlight, for example. I may need a light that's attached to my body. So work out all these things in a controlled, safe environment, and then you're going to be better prepared. So when you come to the camping environment, for example, you know what to carry. And we all know when it comes to camping and hiking, weight is a major, major thing. You cannot take your
Mm.
entire house and along with you camping. You got to prioritize what you use. And we've all been there. We've all been there. It's
Well,
always,
you can
for
you can
me,
take you can take your entire house once,
yeah,
but
that's it.
you
And
don't
never
do it
again.
the second
Never again.
time.
For
No.
me, and I'm sure you would agree, for me, the difficult thing is always trying to find that balance of carrying enough water, but not carrying too much water that is too heavy. I think with outdoorsmen, that's a common one. You know, yeah.
That's
So
true.
prepare for those scenarios, man. When it's cold, am I going to use gloves? When it's rainy, what am I going to use? When my hands are wet, can I still handle my firearm? Can I still handle my equipment? Is my equipment made to withstand the environmental factors? So I'd say determine all of this first before you go and start to force these things on your family members and your friends.
That makes sense. And as you say, it spirals wider than just being the firearm. If that's your sort of bottom line, and you prepare around that, at the end of the day, you're just better prepared for the whole experience, because you tend to think about things. What do I
And
use
you
to
know,
make a fire? You know, what do I use for light, etc., etc. It's
you
a
know,
mindset.
people often laugh at what they call preppers and gun guys and you know like tacticians, people like us.
Yes.
People often laugh at them until you need them, and that guy's
Yes.
got exactly what you need, and then you're like, okay, this makes sense now. But yeah, and
True.
that's why we live in a diverse world. Everybody can't be the same. Just got to accept it sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's get back to the family thing. I'm going to talk about training and scenario drills and stuff. What ongoing training and drills, scenario drills, do you think families should adopt to keep skills fresh and obviously safe?
Um, so we spoke about different environments, what works, what doesn't work. I think role play is quite useful. Role play is important as well. In fact, for example, if the lights go out, you should already have a plan. You should already have equipment in place. Like for example, with me in the bedroom, I have a backup light source.
Mhm.
Actually, I have two. I have two. So I have one that's fixed, and I have one that I can take with me. You know, and then uh, where my EDC tray is, where all my daily stuff is, I've always got a light there. I've always got extra batteries. I've always got an extra light and extra batteries again. Just an example. When I travel, and this is every single day of my life, when I
Mhm.
travel, I've got an EDC bag and I've got a spare cell phone charger, which also has an adapter for the vehicle. I've got a power bank, got like a large capacity power bank that's in
Yep.
a shock resistant enclosure. One of the theorem, I think it's cell vault or something. We sell them, and that's with me all the time. You know, having some type of a contingency plan is important. Your battery may run out. Often, what I do is I carry two cell phones, and I make it a must that if I'm carrying two cell phones, each cell phone runs on a different network.
That
So if
makes
I'm
sense.
out of range in a certain area because the one network doesn't pick up, I could use the other one. And
Mhm.
or if I need a network connection and my one phone that connects to a certain app, for example, is not picking that up, I can piggyback on the other one. I can create a Wi-Fi zone or whatever they call it, and I can piggyback on the other phone's network. You know, and the same with your device, with your laptop, and all of that. So I think often people they don't look at this thing holistically. They look at the firearm, they look at the gun, they look at
Yes.
the things that are closest to the gun, holster, sometimes weapon light, blah blah blah. But they don't realize that a lifestyle change in all aspects can really benefit you. Being prepared. I mean, there's times when you won't carry a gun. There's times when you can't carry a gun. There's times when you may
Mhm.
choose not to carry a gun. You know, you spoke about camping. I mean, like people that go out to the beach, for example. Me personally, sometimes if I'm going to the beach, I'm going to the pool, I don't carry a gun. Where am I going to leave that gun?
Mhm.
I lawfully
That's
cannot
the
leave
thing.
that gun with anybody else. On that
Yes.
day, so now the crooks out there know they can come and try me when I'm in the pool or the beach. Come, come, come. You know, on that day, I may want to carry a knife. I may want to carry an impact tool like a Cuberton. I may carry a pepper spray. And look, ultimately, learn to fight, man. Come on, learn to fight.
Well,
You're a man. You
exactly.
must be able to.
Because
You must
you're
be
not
bold
always
enough
going
and
to have
defend
to.
yourself.
I
No,
mean, I take myself when I go down to Cape Town. When I'm there,
Mhm.
I absolutely make the time to go to either Blouberg or Camps Bay and
Mhm.
swim. Winter, summer, the colder the water, the better. I'm there.
Ish.
If it rains, I'm there. I'm swimming. But I go by
Mm.
myself. So I always have to leave a t-shirt and a towel and stuff on the beach when I go into the water.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Um, the idea of leaving a firearm on the beach while I swim is honestly, that I find it a little bit scary. I just won't be able to. I'd rather just sit on the beach then.
So here's a practice that we've used before. If you go out to, let's say, the beach as a family, or public pool, which most people don't do anymore, but if you go out to the beach, this is where the value lies in having two firearm owners in a home. In that maybe the husband's a firearm owner and the wife's a firearm owner. So I could say, okay, when we go to the beach today, I won't carry my gun. Wifey, you carry your gun. But I will be the one that take the kids into the water. Well, that's fine. And the next time we switch roles again. I carry my gun, and perhaps she takes the kids into the water or whatever needs to be.
Well, I mean,
So
you're a
give
team.
and take. Yeah, that's it. That's a team.
It's teamwork.
A teamwork mentality can work in your home. It doesn't stop at work in your work environment.
Absolutely. What are the most common downsides that families face when they introduce firearms, and what practical steps neutralize these risks?
Downsides.
I know it's an odd question to ask a gun guy, because you immediately think there are downsides to owning a firearm, but the fact
okay,
the fact is
there are challenges, right? There are challenges.
Yeah.
Can we call it challenges?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Challenges.
So the one major challenge is non-permissive environments. Places where you're not allowed to carry a gun. So, for example, when you are flying, most flights, I've had the luxury in my life, one of very few people that has been able to fly in an aircraft with a gun on him. But obviously, that's in a duty environment. It feels cool because everybody else flies without a gun, and now you're in the aircraft and you got a gun. It feels cool. But it obviously comes with a heightened sense of responsibility as well. So
absolutely.
I would say non-permissive environments, when you can't take a firearm into a certain place, or let's put it this way, you'd be in trouble if you were caught with a firearm in a particular place. It would be frowned upon, not necessarily unlawful. And this is something we need to understand as firearm owners. For example, sometimes when I go to certain places, I don't carry a revolver on that day because there's a sticker on the glass that says no revolvers. It's got a picture of a revolver, a line through it. So I carry a pistol on those days.
Well, we are deep into the semantics now, but I like the idea. It works for me.
Yeah, it works. Yeah, read between the lines. And the question is asked: is that place really a firearm-free zone? So, do they have the right to prevent me, a licensed firearm owner, or a law enforcement official that's issued with a license or a permit for a licensed firearm, that they prevent me access with having a firearm? Yes, no. And I think it's important for people to understand what determines a firearm-free zone. A firearm-free zone needs to be declared by the police, by the Central Firearms Registrar, which means the occupier or the owner of that property must make an application to the police to be declared a firearm-free zone. So technically, if I just go and put up a sticker on the entrance, it's not a firearm-free zone. I haven't broken a law. So some of the places, I know this has happened in gyms and stuff, they can ask you to leave. Fine. Yeah. They can ask you to leave, right? Because they have the right to reserve admission in a place that they manage. But they cannot take criminal action against you. So,
and my advice there would be, if you do get into such a situation where they do ask you to leave, then, just leave.
Yeah, just apologize and leave.
Yes, be the bigger person. You're carrying a firearm. Don't get into an altercation and scream and
100%.
shout and pushing and shoving or whatever the case may be. Just say
100%.
no problem. I'm leaving and go somewhere else.
100%.
That's
100%.
because
Absolutely.
if you have your family with you, part of this whole conversation that we are having is that how do they look at you? They know you are carrying a firearm. Your family knows, okay? And if you go around acting like a total, I almost said also, but I stopped myself. Let's go with.
Too late.
I'm not going to say a total tool.
Yeah.
Then what sort of example are you setting to your family? You're not supposed to turn into this macho dude when you carry a firearm. You are the law-abiding citizen. Set the example.
Yeah. I think we also spoke about, and in general we focus a lot on physically preparing for different scenarios. But are you emotionally and mentally prepared for a scenario? Are you emotionally and mentally prepared for a scenario where you are in an environment where these people are just anti-gun? You go visit maybe your child's friend, their parents invite you to their home, and these people are anti-gun. Are you prepared for that? You need to sometimes zip your mouth, because this topic may come up and they talk about guns kill people, and sometimes you may want to just not contribute to that conversation, or you may want to be very tactful to say things in a certain way that doesn't make it seem like you are pro-gun and gung-ho, and you this guy, and they're not going to feel safe now sending their kid to your home, for example. I know kids always feel safe with me. Kids and animals just naturally come to me. It's happened to me all my life, and it doesn't mean that I can't be dangerous if I don't want to, but I don't give off that energy. I don't naturally give off the energy, because it brings trouble. If you're gonna portray yourself as being this violent, dangerous person all the time, guess what? Somebody's gonna want to stand up to you because he wants to prove himself someday as well. So I think you're preparing for those situations.
It's not only in the Western movies, the old cowboy flicks, where the baddest gunslinger in town inevitably gets challenged by every sort of young gunslinger. I'm here to challenge you. It happens in real life in 2025. If you walk into a place with this attitude, you stare at people, this challenging stare, somebody's going to take you up on it.
A young buck who is maybe doing martial arts, and usually the newbies, and he wants to try out. I mean, we've been there. We all worked in nightclub environments and things like that, and we were young, and we waited for that situation to use those skills or those maneuvers we just learned. We're human, it happens. Also, sometimes, not a downside, but sometimes something that you need to manage is the fact that people want you to protect them or to rise to the occasion because they know you are armed, equipped, or trained. So that can also be not a downside, but that's a factor that you're going to face.
Exactly.
For example, your family members, your friends, your neighbors. I know, like when we were kids, some of our neighbors used to always call us because we grew up in a family where we were a bit more streetwise, and we did martial arts, and my dad was in the military. We had guns. We were like the action guys in the community, and we were brave. They would call us, even as kids. As kids, they would call us. I mean, we were kids, primary school, high school, even. They'd call us to come and see if they had an intruder in their property, or if something went wrong. And then I'd get there and I'm like, but you've got a husband and you've got sons. Why are you calling us? They're older than me. Some of these guys even own guns, and I was a kid, and now they're calling me. So that's something you're gonna be wary of when people know your personality, and they know that you're willing to stand up for what's right. You've got a certain skill set. You've got certain tools. That is something that you might want to protect, and you might want to withhold from certain people. because you could
Exactly.
find yourself in a situation that you didn't prepare for, and actually you don't
Yeah.
deserve to be in that situation,
Oh, for sure. I mean, for me, part and parcel of becoming a firearms owner is that responsibility. Be the better person. Grow up, chuck your ego in a box where it belongs, and act accordingly. Because it's a massive responsibility. And you're wearing that thing for a specific reason. So don't go around, don't be the guy at the braai with the thing displayed in the open, and everybody's like, oh, he's a gun guy. He's a gun. Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
Don't be.
No.
That's just putting that's drawing unnecessary attention to yourself.
He's the first guy they're gonna take down. The one that sticks out is the first one they're gonna take out.
Exactly.
It reminds me of bodyguarding. In mainstream bodyguarding, in like with in the celebrity world and things like that, especially overseas, in the United States especially, they like to choose bodyguards that look big and scary.
Yes.
Because it's an image thing. They think that they're going to scare off the attacker. Good luck to you. A professional assassin is never going to be scared of that person. In actual fact, he's not going to be scared of any person. He's going to do what he needs to do.
Absolutely. Okay, I think we've covered my next question in terms of community and social fallout. When other people may be opposed to firearms, so I'm gonna move on. I think we've covered that now. If the worst happens, what immediate legal and medical and emotional steps should a family have planned in advance?
If you're saying the worst, if somebody's lost their life?
Yeah, well, there's been an incident, so people tried getting into your house, or they did get into your house.
Yeah.
Hijacking. There's been an incident which usually involves some form of criminality and potentially violence.
So once again, the scenario-based training and practicing scenarios, but also, I always talk about this, practicing good housekeeping, having the right things in the right places, so that the family can, for example, know I got to press a panic button. I know where to find it. It's not hidden. It's not one of these remotes that you keep in your pocket or you hide in your cupboard. They know where they got to press the panic button. Somebody's bleeding out, and you spoke about Stop the Bleed. Stop the Bleed. I'm a Stop the Bleed instructor as well. Stop the Bleed is an amazing, a wonderful initiative. It's not the ultimate medical training course by any sort, but when it comes to stopping the bleed, dealing with the S March or the March algorithm, however you were taught, it's amazing. It's excellent. Teach them that stuff. They don't have to go and do a full program. They don't have to come to us and do a certification program, but teach them the main aspects of it all. Have your TQs, have a trauma kit, have a med kit and a trauma kit, or have it all in one. Explain to them how it works. Buy one, buy a cheapie, man. Call us, we'll give you a cheapie. Even come see us, we'll give you one out of the box that you can practice with and bring back to us. Teach them how to put this thing on. Teach them why it works, why you got to do this one. Just today, I spoke to somebody about why they don't wear a belt. You're not wearing a belt. Yeah, I don't need a belt. Like, okay. Let's remind me to have a conversation with you why you may want to invest in a belt wear and wear a belt. And then I'm going to advise them why they may want to invest in a certain type of belt. It may help them later on. That happened just today. So I would say training, even if it's not formalized training, informal training, having the right equipment on hand, having things in the right place. Let me ask you this question. How many people keep oxygen, medical grade oxygen in their homes? What percentage of people? Okay? Not even 50%, not even maybe 10%, maybe not even.
I wonder if it's that much.
And now let's rewind just a couple of years to the COVID time, COVID-19, and everybody wished that they had medical grade oxygen in their home because
people were falling all over themselves to try and get.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. and I've had it all along. I ensure that I've got it and have all the right attachments. Make sure you got a venturi or nasal cannula because you might have different scenarios. And once again, this comes from training. Something might be lodged. I don't want to go too far into it, but this thing comes from training. Your preparedness comes from training. Go and seek professional training, and then teach the family why. If it's an infant, I got to use a different method for CPR. For grown up, I got to use a different method. AR, maybe I can't give air via the mouth. Maybe I got to give it via the nose. So have all of these things in place, practice with it, make it fun, and then watch. I would say, because we often spend a lot of time watching these TV shows and movies and stuff. Watch stuff that's actually educational. I with my family, I might sit and I might watch something like The Rookie. That series, The Rookie. It's based on this police in the United States. You learn little
Yes.
stuff there. I particularly also like medical shows. Like medical dramas where it's based in an emergency room. It's based in a hospital. They're working on the ambo, that kind of thing. Because to be honest, as much as we are trained people, we don't know everything, and sometimes you learn from a scenario that you've watched on that show. Unlike movies, often the movies are smoke and mirrors, and it's just about getting people all hyped up and excited. But what I've noticed is with those series, often there's quality there. There's the actual real life kind of scenarios that are sometimes analyzed, and people sit and they discuss these medical issues, sometimes even medical conditions that you never heard of. So that's my advice. I would do that.
One of the main things I've learned from watching some of those medical series is that inevitably they slip away to the linen room during a break for a quick session of romantic linen folding.
You're watching the wrong channel.
Inevitably.
Like my good friend Dean Newwood calls it. He calls it lube tube, not YouTube.
That's if the worst happened. Oh, no, we've done that. In what situations should a family not introduce firearms? And then let's also talk about safer alternatives, because there might be certain psychological, maybe mental conditions, something like that.
Yeah. So we've spoken about that, about the psychological trauma and stuff. What about if there was, I've said before, you sometimes can't choose your family. Can't choose your family, you can't choose your colleagues, right? What if there was a family member who recently got out of prison?
And
Has
it
some
happens.
type of criminalistic tendencies, is still being rehabilitated. Yeah, it happens. Let's be honest. Often they're even on parole, but they're not completely rehabilitated. They haven't been reintegrated into society. You really want to have something like that, around them? Do you really feel comfortable? So that's one scenario. Fortunately for me, I've never had to deal with that, but that can be a scenario. You could also be in a place where, and this is common, where you cannot mount a safe in your home. So there are certain people who live in a property where they don't get permission to mount a safe, to drill holes into the wall. So legally and practically, where are you going to leave that firearm when it's not on you? So that's also a scenario. So if you're renting, especially, you may want to first check that out before you go and sign your agreement, your rental agreement. So those are two scenarios I can think of right away.
Maybe you've got a family member who's a Stormer supporter.
Maybe.
I'm pretty certain somebody's going to say something about that in the comments.
Yeah, you're gonna get a thumbs down in the comments.
How do you objectively measure whether your family's introduction has been successful and safe?
I think overall, respect for one another as people, respect for the firearm itself, and a sense of accountability on the whole, not just around firearms, but on the whole. If you are a family unit, and I used a key word, the unit. If you're a family unit and you operate by means of discipline, respect, accountability, empathy, yeah, then you should be good to go, man.
Final question. I'm going to end this with, what are your top 3 closing recommendations for families who are thinking about introducing firearms? And also, what resources should they start with? Some of it will be a recap, but what are your top 3 recommendations?
Okay. If you are a bit shy and you don't want to go and approach somebody, you can go online and have a look at the website for the South African Gun Owners Association, or one of the similar organizations. I mean, they've been fighting for firearm owners' rights and for people's rights for a long time. So if you are in KZN, you're welcome to give me a shout. I am a Saga rep in KZN, so I represent Saga for a couple of years now. Yeah, and we'll give you free advice. You can contact the Saga office directly. You can go in. There's wonderful people that work at the office as well, and they'll give you a bit of advice. No pressure. You're not going to put guns in your hand. You're not even going to see a gun. I promise you. Walk into Saga office, you won't see a single gun. So you can do that. What you can also do is contact a reputable firearms instructor. And I know this is going to be controversial, but an accredited one. Because there are too many people running around there teaching firearms that they're not accredited. They don't form part of an accredited training institution. They're not graded. We have to go as instructors and do a grading shoot every year. Okay, I do it every 3 years. We got to be graded, and we got to tick all these boxes. And I don't mean that in a negative way whatsoever. Those boxes are there to ensure that the person that you are going to knows what they're talking about. So go to somebody who knows. Once again, controversial. Don't go to a policeman or an attorney.
You're talking now specifically about the accreditation process.
Yeah, and the for an instructor, for him to stay accredited, he's got to do these shoots and all of these things. Yeah, don't go to a policeman or an attorney. I don't think they are the best people to start it, because they have their own view. And for example, the attorney, he deals with firearms issues or the Firearms Control Act from a legal perspective. Many of them are not firearm owners. I think most of them are not firearm owners. Don't go to a policeman, because he is taught what he's taught and carries a duty firearm. The majority of policemen don't own firearms. They're not firearm owners. So how are they going to advise you on a scenario where you want to know about becoming a firearm owner?
Okay.
And then I'd say lastly, have a good, mature, honest discussion with your spouse first. Sit just your spouse down and have a discussion, have a heart talk, and say, this is what I feel, this is what's going on in the environment, this is what's happening around us, and I feel that we should explore the option of getting a firearm. Let's do it together. Let's walk down this path together, and we can see. And then go and contact somebody who you can trust. Not necessarily just go to a gun shop or a shooting range and stuff. Maybe speak to a friend or another firearm owner who you can trust and get their view, and then you guys can discuss it. Those are the top 3 that I can come up with.
Well, I think to summarize the whole thing, when it comes to introducing your family to firearms, you need to have a cool head on your shoulders, and you need to be wise. You need to think about this. You need to throw that ego in the dustbin and approach this in the proper fashion. Don't just go charging in. Don't think you're gonna pressure your spouse into doing something. You're gonna get the opposite result. You need to.
The funny part as well. When you apply for your competency certificate or your firearm license for self-defense, your spouse was supposed to have his or her say in the process. They were supposed to be interviewed.
Yeah, I would think so.
So yeah,
I mean, your spouse. Your
The discussion
spouse
doesn't
should
take place.
it
Something's
should
missing.
take place when you start deciding that you want to purchase a firearm.
100%.
That sort of communication is crucial. So I think if you want to summarize the whole thing in one word, communication. Communication.
Absolutely.
And then you have it. Ridwaan, Syed, SA Tactical, and also Chief Loan Operator Instructor in KZN. If you like the video, click the like button. Subscribe to the channel and smash that bell icon so you can get notifications of all our new videos coming out. If you're interested in training, there's a link in the description below for Loan Operator. Check it out. Get your facts together, and we hope to see you on a range one of these days. Thank you so much.
Visit Battlefit. Come visit Battlefit later this month on the 30th. Eh? Tell them where it is.
On the 30th of November. Yes. Make sure you're there. On the out there shooting range to the east of Pretoria. 30 November. The Battlefit Games. Check it out. Ritz, thank you so much. As always a pleasure to talk to you. Enjoy your evening.
Welcome. You too. Stay safe.